Hello, welcome friends and family. My name is Patricia Dawn and you've reached my YouTube channel today. My intention with this video is to ask the question, what is trauma? But before I get into that, I just want to thank you for your time and your energy. And I want to share with you that I have been in recovery, walking the red road and healing the affliction of addiction for over 20 plus years. And I'm very grateful today to be walking a spiritually aligned life in sacred sobriety. And with that, I'll continue on with a quote from Gabot Mate, who is a family physician for over 20 plus years with a specialized interest in childhood development, trauma, and addiction. And his quote is, "Trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside you as a result of what has happened to you." During the COVID era, Gabot Mate presented an online workshop called The Wisdom of Trauma, which I participated in for 5 days. At the time, my health had collapsed and I was in a lot of pain and I had a difficulty sitting. I had a difficult time walking, and often my energy wouldn't last past 11 a.m. During that time of doing the work with Gabot Mate, it was very inspiring. He had over 1,000 people from around the world join him. There's so many people afflicted with the disease of addiction, the breakdown of mental health, and struggling in a Western culture whose services are limited in addressing and healing the realm of addiction. During that workshop, Gabot Mate introduced Dr. Julie Brown Yao, who specializes in healing trauma and has over 30 years experience. When she joined us, she discussed that there are many different categories of trauma. The first one being developmental trauma, and she shared with us how trauma isn't always something that has happened in crisis or had to be a big event. It can happen in utero. It can happen in the early years of childhood development. And she discussed how when a baby cries, there are 3 main cries. So the first cry is a call for help or a call for hunger. It's a call for a need that needs to be addressed. Sometimes the newborn just needs to feel touched and connected. If that cry isn't responded to, a second cry will come in, and it's one of distress, one of fear, for there's an innate intuitive sense in a newborn that if somebody doesn't respond to the cry, they could die. And the third cry, which is an elevated crisis cry, it's usually a very high volume. That cry is the cry of fear of not having the need addressed and possibly dying. And at that point, if no one has responded and the child has not been held and comforted into settling into feeling a sense of safety again, the psyche of the mind will split, will cut that part of the child's inner being and go numb in order for the child to survive. That's considered an alienated part of our being. And that trauma experienced by a newborn can be buried deep within the psyche, frozen as I said, and can haunt a person into their adult life, creating responses or reactions that live in the unconscious aspect of the person without them ever knowing what's driving it. So in other words, it can be the attachment style, a sense of abandonment, in deep insecurities, fear-based thinking, reactionary behaviors. And addiction is a place of seeking to alleviate the pain that is not addressed in the subconscious or unconscious level. And this is according to my experience and what I have learned up until this moment. For I have experienced much pain, a lot of harm, and a childhood fractured and fragmented that left me relying on coping mechanisms that eventually turned against me and became addictions. And that's what I want to share today in this video. What trauma is defined as, how it shows itself, and can be as early as in utero, because the child feels everything the mother feels, and the child feels the environment around the mother when in utero. During the workshop, Gabot Mate was working with an individual as we were all witnessing the process and feeling our own process during the experience. He turned to the audience and said to us, you can find your answers within your body. You can literally go into your body and ask what it needs and it will tell you, depending on the type of relationship you have with your body. And at the time I didn't. I was still quite numb, especially because my health had deteriorated and it was very precarious and I had a lot of pain. So after the workshop was over and I had to go and lay down, as I did every afternoon during that time, I was laying there and I was feeling quite frustrated because I didn't really believe my body would have my answer. And so I kind of begrudgingly asked the question and there wasn't really a response. And I just sort of surrendered and was more focused on relaxing so I could get the pain to come down and settle, because I knew once I had the nap the pain would be gone. And I was laying there quietly and I just sort of whispered it in my mind. What is it that you need? And a response came back just as quietly. I want to be nurtured, not managed. And I could feel the energy in my body kind of do a bit of a sparkle, like a resonance of, oh my God. It made sense instantly, and yet I had never thought of it. It never entered my consciousness. And you want to talk about manage. I manage everything. I manage my stress. I manage finances. I manage relationships. I mean, that's what we're taught in the buzzy busy of the 9-to-5 hustle bustle world. And I was elated and I slept. And when I woke up, I just sat and contemplated nurturing. What would nurturing mean? And so as time progressed, I was able to walk farther than just into the front yard. I could go to the mailbox, which was about 50 feet away. And one day I quietly asked my body, can I go past the mailbox? And as I walked to the mailbox, I had no pain. But as I walked past the mailbox, the pain started. And so I returned home, had my nap, and I could feel a different relationship beginning between my body and my mind. I wasn't always stuck up here grinding, whining, worrying, fearing. But I would settle, do a body scan, get to a place of my breath, just before I'd have the nap. And I would quietly say, if there's anything I need to know, please let me know. And each day as I continued to do this walk, and I'd ask my body permission, each time, like eventually I got to go past the mailbox, and then I'd ask, can I go beyond the trees? And I'd walk down to the trees and the pain would start, and I'd listen to it and return home. And so this relationship began to grow, and what I noticed was my confidence shifted, and I began to rely on the energy within my body that would either say yes, or it would say no. I'd get a pain in my stomach, a pain in my shoulder. I might realize I'm holding my breath. And it empowered me. It empowered my healing. And I was really excited about what it meant to nurture, and began to follow that desire to learn and understand and rebuild my relationship to myself and to the world around me. And so my environment began to change, my relationships with others began to shift, and today I'm very, very grateful to have learnt this. And so in today's question, what is trauma? Gabot Mate has, like I said, the quote, trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside you as a result of what happened to you. So as I was saying before, Dr. Gabot Mate introduced Dr. Julie Brown Yao, who specializes in healing trauma and other practices that allow us to meet ourselves in the moment, to feel the trauma and what is being said in that experience of having that trauma and moving through it, coming to a place of healing. Or what I would say, we make medicine and it becomes, as Gabor says, our inner wisdom. And we can meet ourselves in that moment, coming into full alignment with our authentic being and resting in a place of acceptance, understanding, and self-compassion for having had that journey and becoming sacred in the way we move in relationship to ourselves and to that inner world. And as I get to the ending of this, I wanted to read out what I read in Julie Brown Yao, and I'll put these links in the description box below, so if you're curious and you want to check out Dr. Gabot Mate or Dr. Julie Brown Yao, you're more than welcome to. So the impact into the healing of the woundedness, moving through the traumas and accepting the wisdom and knowledge and healing that comes from doing that work, we meet ourselves in the moment and the unborn parts of ourselves, allowing them to bloom for us to move into our wholeness and becoming authentic and true to the original aspects of who we are meant to be, opening up our lives and discovering a journey of knowing an experience of freedom and having a life of joy, fun, and fulfillment. And so I thank you today for being here, and I thank you for your time and your energy, and I hope that this served you in some good way. And if you care to, you're welcome to leave comments or questions, and I look forward to the next time I get to bring forward this good work and this good medicine. I wish you all a blessed day, and I thank each and every one of you. All my relations, hi. May you know a blessed day and a blessed life.